Sup, it's Dkirks.
And it's Doty.
Doty. Podcast officially dropped today on Apple Podcasts. What do you think?
Big day. Huge day.
Big
Pretty
day.
pumped about it. The teaser drops. I think our logo looks so dope. And I mean, it just kind of brings out our authenticity and just how great we are.
And how we met in 2012.
2012, which actually means 2020 in our world. Get to and then getting to explore who our guests are, which started off great today.
Yeah, so today on the pod we had best human I know, Kendra Little.
Yeah, standing tall at 5'11". She played D1 golf at University of Oregon from 2007, legit 2007, to 2011. She came in as a freshman ranked 85th in the nation. She made All PAC-10, not PAC-12, because back then it was PAC-10, team all 4 years. She won 4 collegiate tournaments while at Oregon, holds 18 Oregon women's golf records, 3 times U.S. amateur participant, 1-time participant in the U.S. Women's Open.
And another great golf stat. She's a former assistant coach for a legendary golf program at Lake Oswego High School. Something I think is amazing is I found the stat, I forget what year it was, but she average driving distance on the Symetra Tour 1 year was 271 yards. Tiger Woods' current driving distance on the PGA Tour is only 290. It's crazy.
What's yours, Kirk?
My carry's about 265.
Sweet.
Going
Mine's
up.
about what?
185, 2 hundo.
2 hundo. Yeah, we also talked to Kendra about her love of sports, specifically basketball and golf, and how her family were her biggest supporters.
We talked to her about how being intersex has shaped the way she treats people. And she gave us a good insight about how whatever you think people are going to react to, it's never as bad as you think. So let's get into it.
Let's go.
Kendra Little, welcome to the pod. What are you sipping on?
I have a Brew Doctor Uplift Blood Orange Lemon. Really hitting the heavy stuff tonight.
Coming in strong.
But this is kombucha, so it has trace amounts of alcohol in it. So, we're doing all right.
Tell you what you got.
I got a great glass of Pinot Noir Underwood for $11.95 at 7-Eleven.
They sell Underwood at 7-Eleven? Wow.
Yeah, it's money.
7-Eleven's low-key classy these days. Daniel, what do you got?
Got a Black Cherry High Noon. Sponsor us.
High Noons.
That was like low-key the official drink of Abandon or Bust, wasn't it?
It was.
It was.
Like peach and lime were the go-tos.
Yep.
Still going strong. Kendra, just to kick it off, do you remember your first ever Instagram post?
Oh, wow. I actually do.
What? That's 2 in a row.
That's good.
And it's really weird. I don't know why I remember it, but I think I was a senior in college, and we were at a tournament in Half Moon Bay, which is just outside of San Francisco. We were co-hosting with Cal, and I remember posting some stupid like sunset picture on the coast with a terrible filter, and yeah, it's just, and I think about that a lot whenever I post on Instagram, because it's so much has changed since then. It was like Instagram was not big at all.
Are you sure that was your first ever post? And have you deleted it?
Oh, I've deleted it for sure.
Oh,
Okay, that makes sense.
Oh God, wait, are you like going deep into my Instagram to tell me what my first one is?
Well, that's what I do. I get in these rabbit holes.
Oh, that's awesome.
I really am into our guests and want to know everything about them. And for whatever reason, I think it's very interesting to see what the very first Instagram post is. So yeah.
Here's the thing. My current account is not my first account. This is my second account. So this was like, I think I forgot the login or something, and I had to make another account. So there might be another Kendra Little account out there that
Air Max K, maybe
deep in the archives might be.
Well, it's interesting because your first Instagram post on your current IG handle, which is, if you would like to share with the listeners.
Yeah, it's at Kendra_lit, LITT. Hit me up.
Lit. But your first ever on that Instagram handle was on June 16th, 2013,
Okay.
which do you know when Instagram started?
No.
October 6th, 2010.
Okay. So wow. Okay. So that makes sense.
Relatively, even though you might have had a different one, that's kind of an early adopter.
Really?
I
Yeah,
was an early adopter of Twitter too.
that's great.
I
Well,
was-
you are very hip and creative, so that doesn't surprise
Very
me.
much. Wait, what is the picture? I don't even know.
It's of Biggie D and me. Is the Father's Day tribute with you and your
I
you and your
remember
dad. It's
that.
actually a really, really cute photo.
I remember that. I was like 2 years old on his shoulders at the Oregon coast.
Yep, it was great. Whatever filters you used or didn't use, it's a great photo.
I'll give all the credit to my mom. I think that was like a film picture or something that she scanned, so it looks cool with the grain and stuff. So
The cowboy.
yeah, cowboy.
So Kendra, we thought we'd kick this off with a quick story from you about how you first met both of us.
And your first impression.
Oh God. Okay, I'll go in order. So I first met Daniel, 2015. Yeah, 2015, right?
You know a date better than I do.
Yeah, so it was February 2015. I was driving back from Florida. I just decided to stop playing golf professionally. I was driving back to Florida, trying to think about what the hell I was going to do with the rest of my life, considering I had just thought about golf and only golf for a long time and just assumed that that's what I would always do. As most athletes do when you're growing up, you just kind of assume you're going to play forever. And so yeah, I was like, maybe coaching would be an easy transition after playing. So I was looking at high school coaching jobs, college coaching jobs. And then I saw, and I had basically been based out of Eugene. When I was playing golf, I was on the road for 10 months out of the year and then would come back to Eugene. So I was technically driving back to Eugene, but I was like, I really want to be in Portland. I don't want to be in Eugene. Grew up there, went to college there. Just not really a place I wanted to be after playing golf. So I was hoping to be in Portland. And so I looked at high school coaching jobs. I saw that Lake Oswego had one. And so I actually originally applied for the head coaching job of the girls golf team and didn't get it. And like several days later, I don't remember if it was how I got I think the AD put me in contact with you, or you got in contact with me and was like, hey, what about an assistant job? And so from there we set up a phone call, and I'll never forget where I was for as long as I lived. The first time I talked to Daniel, I was driving from Phoenix to LA. And Daniel and I talked. We had a mutual friend. I'm completely spacing.
Ryan Coldren.
And Daniel did a little bit of background on me. And anyway, we had like a 10-15 minute conversation on the phone.
Yeah.
And man, if someone had told me all the things that were going to unfold between me and Daniel from that point until right now, I would have not believed it, because it's been a hell of a ride.
Bunch of cool shit.
Yeah.
Bunch of cool shit. Dkirks, were you the head coach at the time?
Well, you could kind of Yahoo how the whole situation went down.
I'll just ask you.
But yeah, I had gotten the job, and the AD had given me the applicants' names that applied for the head coach to see if I wanted to reach out to any of them for an assistant. And I saw Kendra, typed her name into the Facebook machine, and saw that I had a mutual friend, pinged Ryan Coldren, and he's like, dude, Kendra played on my what year did you play with him?
Ryan?
Yeah, basketball.
I never played with Ryan.
I thought you did, like played on like his AAU basketball team.
No, but I did play on like boys AAU basketball, or AAU, just like basketball teams, like when I was younger. So maybe that's what he said.
Yeah. And anyways, he was just like, Kendra's the best, no question. Hire Kendra. Anyways, okay. So how do you know what's your first story about Doty?
So first time meeting Doty was City League basketball at the Hoop, I think, in Beaverton.
Beaverton Hoop.
Yep. And I knew who she was going into it. She had absolutely no idea who I was. And that was the first
Well,
time.
let's make that clear. I was very new to Oregon. I used
Were you?
to call it Oregon. I think so.
Wow.
I'm an East Coast girl. I just moved out to Oregon. Had no idea who anyone was. So of course, to meet people, I played in the City League. Anyway, continue.
Yep. So we squared off against each other in City League. We actually guarded each other. It was one for the ages. I think my team lost, if I remember correctly. You're like, I don't know. There's so many dubs, I can't remember. But yeah, it was. I don't remember how I had knew who you were beforehand, but you know, when you play for UConn and you're playing City League basketball, and there's, you know, people talking. So, and then yeah, I think we kind of like shot the shit right after the game, and yeah, classic story. You asked me where I played basketball, and I said in college. I was like, oh, I didn't play basketball. I played golf.
And I was like, you're kidding, right? Because you were the second best player on the court.
Wait, so you
First
mean
best? Kidding me?
You mean
First on your team, second best on the
yeah,
court.
okay. And then and then we, like, I don't know how shortly thereafter, you know, we had mutual friends and we would see each other out once in a while, but that was the first time we met on the basketball court at City League. And yeah, it was, I'll never forget that. That was
which is crazy, because you met us in two completely different times,
yes.
playing two completely different sports.
Mm-hmm.
Where Daniel met you as this unbelievable golfer, and I met you as I thought was a Division I basketball player. And now look at us right now. Now we're all together.
Look at us.
Yeah. So, I mean, Kendra, you've been, just give us what's your favorite story for like basketball and favorite story for golf, revolving around you or your life or something you've seen.
Any point.
Yeah.
For some reason, I don't know if this is my favorite for basketball, but it's what sprung to mind. So my dad coached me and my sister when we were super young. I was like 6 years old playing on my sister's like 8-year-old team. And this is like when I first got into basketball. Like, I think I might have even been like 5 and she was 7 or something. It was ridiculous that I was like playing with them. But I was, until about high school, I was actually pretty, like, I wasn't short, but I wasn't nearly as tall as I am now. And as a kid, I was like pretty short and stocky, but I was quick. And so my dad would just kind of put me in, and we would run this like one-man full court press. And I just remember every time the girls would like try and throw it over my head, and I would just like pick it off and just like lay it in. And like, it was the most fun, like amazing introduction to the game I could have ever imagined. And that's really what like laid the foundation for me for basketball. Like, basketball is definitely my first love. And that's kind of where basketball started for me. From a golf standpoint, favorite story. It's really difficult to say. I'm going to have to pick one just off the top of my head. Honestly, like, probably qualifying, the actual process of qualifying for the U.S. Women's Open. Just that day, my mentor, shout out to David Glens. He's a homie. He caddied for me that day, 36 holes, played really good.
Where at?
This was in New Jersey. Actually, it might have been technically New York. I can't remember. It was like right on the border.
The same place.
Fun fact, at that qualifier, a 15-year-old Brooke Henderson beat my ass by 5 shots. And
so she obviously qualified and you qualified.
She won the qualifier. I took second.
How many did they take that day? 3
out of like 75. So it was intense, like 36 holes.
And you're not talking camping.
And I'm not talking camping. And to come in at like, what was I think I was like 5 under, and to get beat by a 15-year-old by 5 shots was it was like, whoa, yo, I just qualified for the US Women's Open. And then I was like, oh, I just got beat by a 15-year-old by 5 shots. This is a really weird feeling. But all you gotta do is qualify. So I don't know if that's my favorite story of golf, but it's just one that popped up in my head. So
really cool one.
I know Doty hasn't played in a whole lot of qualifiers. I'm just starting to get into them. Qualifiers are brutal because it's a one-day thing. You're just, foot on the pedal the entire time. I mean, just to qualify for something is fantastic, because you have to have your best that day.
Yeah, exactly.
And then traveling cross country, that's not an easy trip.
Yeah, well, thankfully I was actually staying with my mentor at the time for like a month, prepping for that one event. And like, what's cool about New Jersey, just that whole Met area, is a lot of the courses really remind me of courses in Oregon. So I kind of felt at home out there. But to your point, just being on the road in general, and just being away from home, however much, amount of time is not easy. But yeah, qualifiers, and they're tough too, because like I've played in many qualifiers, have failed to qualify many times for many tournaments, and it's like you go out and like, let's say through like 6 or 7 holes, you're 2 over, and you're kind of just like, well, great, like I have to theoretically, shoot under, so like you can kind of be out of it early, and your mind just like starts to wander. Qualifiers, yeah, they're you just gotta show up and play good on that day. It's not necessarily taking the best players out there. But that's what's cool about golf too, is in a tournament setting, you get hot for 3-4 days, you can win. You don't have to, be the best golfer out there. All you got to do is play well in that 4-day stretch. But it's not as easy as doing it, just saying it. So, but yeah, that's one of the reasons why golf is the greatest game.
Oh, one reason. I'm sure we'll get to another reason towards the end of this podcast. So I want to take it just back to your earlier life and just talk about your athletic career and how you got into it. Your dad was drafted in the NBA. He coached you. You played up with your sister. Kind of talk about like your early life and your athletics, and how like some of the lessons you learned, a little bit about your family to where you are now.
So yes, so I was born in Portland, moved to Eugene when I was like 7 or 8 years old, and basically started into basketball when I was like 5 or 6, and then golf shortly thereafter. And from that age until 28 was just completely sports centric, as both of you can I'm sure relate to. So yeah, I played basketball, golf, baseball, football, soccer, played all of it. Flag football for a couple years. I was a quarterback. We had 2 incredibly fast running backs, so I would just hand the ball off, and then randomly they'd be like, all right, you're going to pass it. And then there would just be someone wide open because you've just been running the ball the whole time. But I'm like,
love that.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah, it was dope. I'm like so grateful that I got introduced to sports at an early age, because it just teaches you so much about how to operate within life, with people, with different situations, handling adversity. It's just like the perfect parallel to life, golf especially, but really any sport, any team setting. And I've seen and experienced throughout life, like it's very easy to tell apart the people who played sports and people who didn't play sports. Not even based off of like, physical appearance or whatever, like just how they interact with people and how they handle certain situations. I feel like I'm way better equipped for life because I played sports and played in a team setting. But yeah, after probably 12, 13, really started to focus in on basketball and golf, and was kind of undecided up until probably sophomore year of high school if I was going to play one or the other in college. I kind of made a choice to play golf solely in college. Wasn't necessarily something that I wanted to do, just golf, but felt like it was kind of the only option for me in terms of how was I gonna. I just didn't see myself being able to be successful in both sports and in school as well in college. Like, had I tried to play both, I'm pretty confident I would have failed out of college. But yeah, I made kind of a hard decision to focus and play golf in college, but kept playing basketball through high school. Ended up going to a golf academy in Florida my junior year of high school, which was a great experience. Although I wouldn't recommend anyone doing that. I would never, if I would never send my child to a golf academy or any type of sports academy.
Why is that?
It's just like, it's just such a insane experience. And there's a lot of success stories. I'm just speaking from my, my personal experience. It's just such an unrealistic, insane experience, and really does a great job of taking the fun out of playing sports. And I've talked to Daniel about this. I'm a huge advocate of cross training, playing different sports, all the way up until high school. Like, I think that's
Me too, sister.
Yeah, totally. Like, that's like the most important thing you can do. And I was lucky because the coach that recruited me to Oregon, Shannon Roulard, like encouraged me to play basketball my senior year. She was like, hey, like, we offered you a full ride. I'm not going to I'm not going to tell you to not play basketball, like, in case you get injured or something. Like, I would never do that. And I think you should play basketball. And she even came to a couple of my games that year. So yeah, sports from day one have been a huge part of my life, and continue to be a huge part of my life, and my family's life as well.
I was just going to interject. You did not go to the golf academy your senior year. You came back to Sheldon High School.
Yeah, correct. Yep. So I spent 1 year in Florida my junior year, and then came back, which was like probably one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. Like, my senior year of basketball was so much fun, and just that senior year back at Sheldon was amazing. Like, I gained like another level of appreciation for Sheldon and my friends and basketball, and had
Balance
a
is key.
really good senior year.
Yeah, balance is key.
Yeah, exactly. Totally.
So I know your family is really close. You're really close to your family.
Mm-hmm.
And going back to, we're going to jump into Intersex,
Mm-hmm.
that you penned a letter to your family, and I think it was like a Golf Digest article. They talked specifically about it. It was on Uninterrupted, but we found it. You had told 10 people
Mm-hmm.
prior to the video going live on Uninterrupted your story.
Right.
And I happened to be, I think, one of those 10 people.
You did.
And so I don't know how to quite jump into that, but can you give us a quick background on what that letter said, and then maybe like how you broke it to me, and then we'll jump into it a little bit further.
Yeah. So it was 2018, like late summer, early fall. And I had just started to have initial conversations with a couple of people that were close to me about the fact that I was born intersex. And that was something that I hadn't shared with anyone outside of my parents and a couple doctors for my entire life. So how old was I? I was like 29, 30, keeping this, huge, massive secret from the world, essentially. And by way of just circumstances, and I always kind of felt, on one hand, I felt like it was going to come out in some fashion, whether it was just a handful of people or on a larger scale. But I also thought that maybe it wouldn't. And yeah, the universe works in mysterious ways. And through a chain of events, I was fortunate enough to share my story through Uninterrupted. And kind of going back to that first conversation I had with you, Daniel, and just had I known back at like when we first met, that conversation, had I known what was going to unfold, like I would have needed to have sat down with a stiff drink. But yeah, you were like probably, I don't know, like third or fourth person I shared that with. And we met at a coffee shop in Sherwood. Yeah. And again, like I was working with Players Tribune about maybe sharing my story through them, and it was kind of stalling and not really going anywhere. And the editor I was working with actually now works for Nike and is an awesome person. And it was to no fault of hers. I know she was trying her hardest to kind of get the ball rolling, and she was kind of running into some roadblocks. But so I met with you at that coffee shop that one day and kind of shared my story and just shared my frustrations about Players Tribune. And you were like, hey, I actually know someone that works Uninterrupted. You should shoot him an email. And from there, it was like streamlined. And within like 2 weeks, I was having a conversation with Jimmy Spencer and one of the directors there. And yeah, then that process took like 6 months, and which was pretty painful, just like kind of sitting on this and waiting for this video to come out. And just that whole process was pretty took a lot of patience to kind of stick with that process. But I'm really grateful just how everything panned out and the way it was shaped and released.
So why 2018? What triggered you to want to share your story then?
So I met someone that kind of for the first time I felt like I could share my story with, and so I shared my story with her, and she kind of encouraged me to like, hey, you should have a conversation with your family about this.
So there was no conversations with your family before?
No, like my parents, when we first like kind of found out, but not with my brother or sister. I think they always kind of had an inkling that something was different about their sister, but we never really talked. No, yeah, we never talked about it until that letter I wrote to them. And I'm pretty introverted and pretty quiet. And so like for me, the best way I felt like I could express myself was through a letter, because I had a lot to say and a lot to share with them. And I felt like the best way I could kind of get my thoughts down. So I literally sat in a coffee shop for like 6 hours one day and just wrote out this letter. It was like multi-page letter. And yeah, and then chain of events happened after that, and then the whole world knew.
So we'll be able to get that link and put that in the comments of the podcast for everybody to check that out, because it's unbelievable. So it's a great story. How you handled yourself, everything is very, very inspiring. So
Thank you.
definitely want to continue to share that.
I appreciate that.
You know, I think we should give a quick background. I just mentioned intersex. I realize it's probably just an unbelievably different topic for 90% of the people that listen to this podcast. Can you give us a quick like rundown, as quick as a quick rundown can be on a very complex topic?
The term intersex, to a lot of people listening to this, probably will, unless they're familiar with my story, will probably be foreign to them. Intersex is a blanket term for a multitude of, I quote, air quote, conditions. I don't really consider myself to be born with a condition. I'm just born.
Just a badass condition.
I was gonna say, like,
exactly. So essentially, what's that?
Born a badass.
So yeah, I basically born with both elements of female and male parts, both sort of out and in, and I have androgen insensitivity syndrome, which people can Google further or Yahoo it if they want.
Don't ask Jeeves.
Yeah, you can ask Jeeves it. And that's one condition that, along with many others, that fall under the intersex category. And the spectrum is so huge that like a full-on male, fully functional everything that has a slight condition of being infertile could be considered intersex, all the way to the opposite end of the spectrum, which is like, kind of work closer where I am. And so, yeah, it's a difficult one to kind of just like give a 1 or 2 sentence explanation about, but I would definitely encourage anyone reading this or listening to this, like, just go on to Google, type in intersex, and you'll infinitely like expand your mind within
Yahoo.
10 seconds. Yeah, Yahoo it. You don't Google things around here, we Yahoo them. Watch the video on Uninterrupted. There's a couple articles out there that really kind of go into it more with detail. And I'm just trying to normalize this, like there's a lot of us out there that were born this way and continue to be born this way. And just trying to shift away from such a binary way of looking at things that everyone's so accustomed to. Most people are, afraid of what's different, but there's nothing really to be afraid of what's different. It's just an opportunity to learn more and sort of expand your mind. So I would highly encourage anyone to do a little bit of internet research on intersex, AIS, all of that.
Well, just to continue this conversation, you said you sat down with Daniel at a coffee shop.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of what were the thoughts going through your head? Like when you met with him at the coffee shop, you're like, I'm going to tell Daniel, or was it kind of walk us through what that process was like, and just kind of what your thoughts were? What was going on in your head?
Daniel will have to chime in with how he remembers it specifically, but I feel like at that time I had told one of my friends, Justin, because he knew the editor at Players Tribune, and I can't remember why. I mean, my main reason, I knew that I was going to tell Daniel going into meeting him at the coffee shop, because he was, someone that, especially at that point in my life, and continues to be one of my, very best friends, someone I'm extremely close with, and I wanted to tell him that. I wanted to share that with him, and knew that he would, be supportive and understanding, and just all of those things. And so it's kind of funny, like, I don't even know why we met at that coffee shop in Sherwood. That was the first time we went there, and that was the last time we've been there. But yeah, like I just wanted to meet with him and kind of have that conversation. And I think I was asking for his advice on what he thought I should do with the whole Players Tribune thing. And I don't think I even knew that he had a friend at Uninterrupted. I think that kind of came up organically, if I remember correctly. Daniel, is that right?
Yeah.
So
which is even like more meaningful. You weren't telling him to get something out of it.
Yeah.
Because you cared about him and wanted to let him know.
Yeah, totally. And as I had these conversations, it got just a little bit more easy each time, I had these conversations, a little bit more comfortable. And yeah, it was a great experience. And I'm forever in debt to Daniel for an infinite amount of things that he's brought into my life. And I can't imagine where I'd be without him, in my life. It's pretty crazy. You look back on the web of influence he's had in my life. I should write a book about it one day.
Well, shoot, I didn't have you on the pod to like have you toot my horn, Kendra.
I mean,
come on,
just
Daniel.
facts.
And on that same thread, though, like, I want to. How do you remember how I reacted, and then like how other people reacted as you started to tell your story?
You took it in stride. Like, you were like very supportive, very like just being a great friend. Just like you were. This is one thing that I continued to hear from people as I shared this with them was, yeah, that's great, Kendra. Like, that's cool. I appreciate you sharing me. I'm not gonna, I don't think of you any differently. Like, you're Kendra. Like, it was just unconditional love and support. Every time I had that conversation, I didn't have one conversation with anyone that made me feel uncomfortable or made me feel ashamed or anything like that. And yeah, like just continuing to have those conversations really sort of built up my confidence and just having that support, which I assumed would be there. It's like, but until you hear it, until you share that, like it's, kind of just lingers in your mind.
That was my next question. Did you ever have an encounter with somebody where you did tell them and they reacted a certain way that wasn't very positive?
Nothing. I mean, nothing to my face, or nothing like in an intimate setting. There's various comments on videos that are out there that are kind of shitty, but I mean, what do you expect from people that hide behind computer screens? So and that's like, after this came out, I was always so concerned about what other people would think, about what people would say, how they might look at me differently. And as I started,
this is 2018. To your point, there's Twitter and Instagram. The cyberbullying was like an all-time high.
Yeah, totally.
So how did you handle like those mean comments and like mean people?
I just didn't care. Like had this come out in a different way, like, and not under my own sort of control, I guess, for lack of a better word, had it been kind of like not leaked, but like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Caught by surprise in a way. And then to see those comments, I don't think I would have been as well prepared for it. But as soon as I started to tell those closest to me and, you know, had their love and support, like, and the biggest thing honestly was just me accepting myself and loving myself and owning, you know, who I am. That was the biggest thing. That was the biggest hurdle that I had to get over. And once I got to a place in that mindset, like nothing could phase me. Like nothing anyone said could, you know, hurt me.
So prior to that coming out, not coming out, but the video coming out,
Yeah.
you said loving myself. Prior to that, were you on a journey finding yourself? Is that really
definitely? Yeah, I think I just lived with this, like, as like I'd almost like convinced myself that it wasn't real. Like I was living in like an alternate reality almost. Like I just didn't want to face it. I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to think about it. I did everything in my power to block it out of my head. And you know, the mind is a very powerful thing, and you can convince yourself of a lot. And I got pretty good at like completely blocking it out. And like I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't change how it went down, anything like that. But I would have definitely benefited from dealing with this at a much younger age and talking to someone about it, you know. That would have been extremely beneficial. And that's like part of why I'm so, you know, vocal and outspoken about it, is because I know there's kids out there that are struggling with this. And I think we're definitely on a path as a society into a more inclusive space, but you know, more so than ever before in history, I think. But I think the more people that are in these like groups of you know, that are pretty small with conditions, like speaking out and like normalizing it, I think can, you know, do nothing but help.
Because knowledge is power. And Kendra, I mean, give so much credit to you to share your story and put yourself out there, and just letting people know and just getting them to understand and be knowledgeable, not be ignorant to certain things. And I think that's huge and so important.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. And that's what it is. And it's really as simple as that. And it's with anything in life. I think anyone can relate to my story. You don't have to, I always say you don't have to be intersex to relate to the story. It's a story about just finding oneself and owning oneself. We all have things that make us different and set us apart. And we're always, you know, we're taught that those should be hidden and those should be, you know, kept away from people. And that's the complete opposite. You should own those things, be proud of them, no matter what they are. And I think that's, if anything, that's what people should take from my story.
I mean, I love that. How has being intersex changed how you treat people or how you see people?
That's a good question. I don't think anyone's ever asked me that.
Boom, let's go.
Yeah,
that's why I keep them around.
You know, there's the old saying out there that's like, you know, be kind to everyone you meet. You don't know like what battles they're facing. You know, everyone's facing something tough in their life, and I think that really has been elevated in my life, just with this whole story of me being intersex coming out. I think it's like, regardless of what someone has said, what someone has done, anything, like just having compassion for everyone, and just knowing that we are all like facing battles in our daily lives, and like you never know what a smile or a hello or something that could mean to someone. And I'm not perfect. I don't do it all the time. I'm, you know, I say things I regret. I, you know, whatever, make mistakes. But I just I really try and come back to that space of being a compassionate person towards everyone. And I think when you're that way, that sort of stuff comes back to you and is reciprocated in different areas of your life. And that's, I would say that's the biggest thing, is just being a little bit more patient with people and compassionate.
It's amazing. Last question before we get into competitive banter.
Let's go.
I mean, we can talk for another hour and a half, 24 hours, whatever. But just last question, then we'll get into some competitive banter.
All right.
What's some advice that you can give to people who are kind of going through a similar situation, where whether it's just a secret or something that they don't want to share or come out to? What's some advice that you give to those people?
I think, speaking from my personal experience with what I went through, it's never going to be as bad as you think. It's like jumping, off of a cliff into water or something, or going on a roller coaster or whatever. It's like that build up, that initial sort of like fear just builds up and builds and builds in your head, and tricks you into believing things that aren't necessarily true. So I would say that one thing is it's never going to be as bad as you think. It's probably going to be a lot better than you think. You're not alone. Someone somewhere has been through what you're going through. And people in your life in general are going to be supportive of what you're going through, what your feelings are. Those closest to you are going to listen and going to be there for you. And if someone's not, then they're, not really worth being in your life anyway. So just sort of that sentiment of it will be okay, and you can talk about it, and it's going to not be as bad as you think. And for my whole life, I always thought it was going to be the worst thing ever, and it ended up being the best thing ever. So I was convinced it was going to be the worst thing ever. Like, I would have bet my life on it, and I'm glad I didn't, because it ended up being the best thing that ever happened to me. So that's what I would say.
Oh, we love you.
Oh,
yeah, I know I've told you this a million times. You're the best human I know, by far.
All right, Dkirks, bring us home. Bring us home, Dkirks.
Kendra, why is golf the greatest game on earth?
I was thinking about this because I knew you guys were going to ask me this. I know it's one of the themes of the show. And I think one answer that I settled on was, there's no other sport where, for instance, you can go, like you, me, Caroline, and Jocelyn, we went on a retreat to Bandon and played this sport and had this amazing time, made these amazing memories that we'll have for the rest of our life around. And it only happened because of the game of golf. You don't get that with any other sport. You don't go to, there's no basketball of Bandon Dune. Like, there's not, you know what I mean? Like, there's no Bandon Dunes of basketball. There's no Bandon Dunes of baseball. There's no Bandon Dunes of football. Like, it's golf. And it's the only sport where you can have these type of moments with friends. And yeah, it's
60 mile per hour winds.
Yeah, exactly. It's the absolute worst weather you've ever played in your life.
And then the best absolute weather.
Exactly.
You have the next
You're only sharing it with 3 other people, right? Total of 4 every single
Right.
time. And you're spending 4 hours plus with them. I love that answer.
Yeah, you just can't, there's just no other sport that can replicate that experience.
It's the best answer yet, Kendra.
Well, is it the only answer yet?
Well, that's a different story. All right. So, you know me, you know Doty. We like to talk some smack.
Yeah.
Let's jump into some competitive banter. We're going to snake draft this. Doty first, me second, you third and fourth, and then back to me, back to Doty. And so each person gets a total of 3.
Well, my picks are definitely going to get taken. I'm really upset about the fact that I got the 3rd overall pick in this draft. Who did you guys?
I mean, she's
You
our
get
guest.
3rd and 4th.
I would rather take first pick because I feel like mine's going to get taken.
You want to go first, and I'll go second, and Doty will go third?
No. We got to stick to the
It's
draft.
fine. I
rules.
have like a list of a lot.
Yeah,
Guess
well,
first.
Kendra, you go
Guess
first.
first.
Guess first. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to guess first. Come on.
Guess first. Come on.
Well, we need the parameters.
Come on,
of what we're
Jen.
doing.
You're supposed to be a gentleman, Kirk.
Best albums 2000s.
And this is like 2000 through 2009, 2010.
It's whatever you wanted to make it, Kendra.
That's what I would say. But
2009 or 2010?
2009, because the beginning the end of the decade, 2009, beginning of the next decade, 2010, right? Isn't there some big argument
That's
about
how I count.
Yeah.
So I took this as the year 2000. So
Yeah.
any albums in the year 2000.
See, this is why it's so good. It's like our brains are the size of walnuts right now.
Exactly. All right. Okay. I have my
Whatever, I'm sticking with mine.
Mine. Well, that's pretty amazing though that you have a list of just albums from 2000, year 2000.
A lot of Googling, and thank you, Spotify.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so the first overall pick in the 2000s best album draft, I'm selecting Nelly, Country Grammar.
Oh,
That's exactly why you want to go first, because that album did drop in the year 2000.
Yeah.
you had
And
that on the
that
big
was
board.
Yeah.
Literally my number one.
Oh, upset alert, baby.
Let's go.
That's a good one.
go.
Country
Whatever, great minds
Grammar
think alike.
is
Great mind.
really
Beanie,
good.
Black beanie, hoodie.
Shout out
Nelly.
Hawkins.
Can I just talk about it for a sec? Can
Yeah,
we talk
Hell
about
yeah.
our picks? for a
yeah,
sec?
100%.
So you told me about this little thing we were going to do earlier. And so I was really excited about it because I love music. And I feel like you and I have a very similar taste in music. We've talked about Country Grammar a lot. I just remember, well, first of all, let's talk about the fact that I was 12 when it came out. I was at the tender age of 12 listening to Nelly. Like the second song on the album, St. Louis, like, my God, 12
You
years
can
old.
find me. St.
Insane.
Louis.
Yeah, exactly.
And Ride With Me is on that album.
Ride With Me, Country Grammar, like the actual song, that album, like I remember when the single dropped for Country Grammar, that song was so huge. Like it's impossible to overstate how big that song was when it first came out. And then that album is just like ridiculous. There's few albums that will take me back to an era in my life like Country Grammar. So
Wait, was Air Force Ones on that album?
no.
That was my first concert all time ever. Was
Was that at
Moda Rose Garden?
Okay. Because Nelly came to Matt Court.
What?
Oh, really?
Yeah, he came to Matt Court.
Sick.
Oh, that would have been sick.
I didn't get to go, but yeah. Anyway, okay, that's my pick.
Okay.
Country Grammar. Shout out to Nelly.
Well,
Next one, me. I'm
So glad
going.
that I stole that pick because I was really nervous it was going to get taken.
I'm glad that
was
I'm
good.
glad that we found our manners and let you go first.
Yeah, that was a good idea.
You got to
I'm
make
going-
that. You got to let the guest pick first.
And we
I'm going
do.
with Outcast, Stankonia.
God,
That's my
bless it.
second one.
Well, it's too bad. I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. Woo!
San Antonio. That's a great pick, Daniel. That was going to be one of my other picks.
That also launched in the year 2000.
Yep.
That album. Well,
Anything to say about that, Daniel?
15 seconds.
Well, when I was a sophomore in high school, my brother was a senior, and our warm-up track for basketball had Miss Jackson on it, Bombs Over Baghdad, just
Banger.
a bunch of just bangers. And we had a great sound system at Malala High School, surprisingly.
That's
And-
legit.
And it was really good. I mean, I
cool.
still remember that. So,
That was legit my number 2.
Doty, you're just getting.
well, you got 3 and 4, Doty. So
You're
good
like the
luck.
New York Jets of this draft right now, huh?
It's all right. I'm going to go with, is it my turn now?
Yeah, that's how it
Are you
works.
done with yours? Let me rearrange a little bit
Is
here.
that your first time?
Let's go with, I'm going to really throw a curveball here to you guys. The Offspring, Conspiracy of One.
What a pick.
I mean,
The album launched in the year 2000 because that's all I chose. And I would go so hard all the time. Like we had like the discs. So I legit have the actual CD and the Discmans. And I would just like rock out hard. And it wasn't good for a 10, 11-year-old to listen to, but I did and I loved it.
Exactly. I feel like we all can relate to that. We were all listening to terrible music at a young age, just getting absolutely
And knew every single word.
I was into Garth Brooks when I was like probably that age, so I wasn't listening to bad music.
what happens when you grow up in Malala, right, Daniel?
Shout out Malala. All right, Doty, 4th pick.
Yeah, you got a pick too.
4th pick is going to be Backstreet Boys, Black and Blue.
Yeah, I saw that one coming from a mile away.
So my all-time album is Millennium because my grandma would drive me around and that was the only CD she had in her car and she
What a
loved it.
CD to
And
have.
I loved my grandma.
Wait.
Also,
You're good.
what's that?
Favorite song of Millennium, real quick.
I don't know.
It's
Too
tough.
many. The entire album.
Literally, I listen from like I know once the CD goes, I'll know the next intro right away, and I'll just go right into the next song.
I love it.
But anyway, and also Backstreet Boys was the very first concert I ever went to with my dad in 5th grade.
I'm glad to hear that you're a Backstreet Boys fan, not NSYNC.
Not NSYNC. Nope.
Yeah, no.
I do
All
like
about-
NSYNC's Christmas album, but that didn't come out until 2001.
Oh,
The collab with NSYNC and Nelly for Girlfriend is just next level though.
yeah,
It's really
that's
good.
good. Yeah, that's real good.
All right, I'm gonna switch this up just a touch. Favorite artist of all time, John Mayer, Clarity.
That's a great pick. What
Just-
year was that?
I saw John Mayer at the Gorge Amphitheater.
Might have been like 2002, maybe
Okay.
right around then. That was the first CD that introduced me to John. I've probably been to the same concert that Doty just mentioned. I've seen him. I've seen him with the John Mayer trio. Just love John.
Love that.
Still, my MySpace out there still has "Slow Dancing in a Burning Room." If I still have a MySpace.
Is
I
there-
think John Mayer's so funny.
Yeah, he actually is really funny. Remember when he used to dress up as like something at his concerts? He'd go outside and people would have no idea he was on the inside of the costume, whatever it was.
Yeah,
Pictures. That's really good.
What's the one song that he just came out with? Like this might have been a few years ago now, where it's like just clouds and he's just laying there and like.
I'm not sure.
I don't know. I don't watch MTV anymore.
MTV.
All right, Kendra, what do you got?
Never mind.
All right. So for whatever reason, whenever I hear 2000s, I just think hip hop. And then there's also another group that I'm gonna hold off on picking. Which
Well, this is your third and fourth. You only get 3.
wait, so I'm making back to back here.
Yeah, we snake it.
Oh, okay. So my next pick is Kanye West, College Dropout.
Oh yeah.
I was struggling. I'm only gonna pick one Kanye album. I was struggling between College Dropout and Graduation.
Ooh, I like graduation.
Graduation literally just like is freshman year of college for me. Like it's just synonymous with that. But College Dropout has Through the Wire on it, and that's my favorite Kanye song of all time. And I just
Yeah, you gotta go with favorite song.
I can't go away from College Dropout. So Kanye, College Dropout, my second pick.
I have
Third,
nothing to banter about that one. I'm with you.
So far,
Yeah,
I mean,
and
these
that's-
are all like good.
what's funny is I know we all have like similar tastes, so I don't feel like there's gonna be any shit talking. So
Well, wait till my last one.
okay, well my last one, I have to pick this one, is Coldplay, Viva La Vida.
So good.
I mean,
Wait,
it's
when did that come out? Like 2009?
2008.
Okay.
That to me, I should have picked it number one, but I knew that it would be around in the later rounds, so I didn't pick it. But that to me is like one of the best albums of all time of any. Like it's incredible. People hate on Coldplay. I don't care.
No, it's
It
the
is
best.
one
I have
of the best albums ever created.
the other
like Coldplay.
album up. The one it's based on the album, but it has yellow on it. It's like maybe,
Heritage.
yeah. So good.
I'm not a Coldplay fan at all. I promise.
I love Coldplay. All right.
Doty?
So-
Next? No, Daniel.
No,
Sorry,
it's
Daniel.
Dkirks.
Yeah, I think I'm always stuck in the middle. I think I'm gonna go with Justin Timberlake, Future Sex Love Sound.
That's yeah. I like that album reminds me of my brother for some reason. I think he was a huge
Shout out Scoot.
DJ Scoot. Yeah. That's a great pick.
I saw JT live at Moda.
2 years ago.
What an entertainer.
No, it was probably like 4 years ago.
I saw him and Jay-Z when they came out. When was that? Like 2013, maybe? I saw him at Candlestick Park, RIP in San Francisco. Oh, good concert.
Yeah, I'm sure that was epic.
What's your favorite
Yeah.
song on the album?
On Future Sex Love Sound.
Mhm.
Without looking at the song list right now, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
Goes
think-
Around, Comes Around. That's the answer.
I think most of them, I just love the beat. There's always a really
me tell
good
you what the
beat
right
on
answer
those
is.
songs.
Okay. This brings me to I'm so glad you said that, Daniel. The best producer of all time
Timberland.
produced that album.
Is it Timberland?
Timbaland.
Yeah, totally.
Like he probably has made several of your favorite songs, and you may not have even known it. Like I think he produced that entire album.
I got a
He's-
CD somewhere for the record.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he produced so many bangers.
Where is he now? Is he still alive?
He's still producing, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he was awesome.
Bubba Sparks, Deliverance, banger.
Doty, wrap us out.
All right. My last one of this draft. The CD was released in the year 2000.
Yeah, we got that.
Britney Spears, Oops, I Did It Again.
Oh no, that's a good one. I'll go with that. No, that's a good one. That's a mic drop right there. You know, so well, you guys probably agree with me on this. There is nothing hotter than Britney Spears at 18. Like when I was a 16-year-old kid, I thought Britney Spears was it.
Shakira was pretty hot back then
Oh,
too.
yeah, well, yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. Wait, so yeah, okay. So
On that CD, you had Oops, I Did It Again.
yeah.
You had Lucky, and you had Stronger.
Oops, I did it
Like,
again.
come on.
I think like just the year 2000 of music was insane. Like Oops, I Did It Again and Country Grammar, 2 albums in the same year alone was like
I think
insane.
wasn't the Outcast one I mentioned right then too?
Antonia,
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
2000. Yeah, that had two solid songs. Yeah, so there it is.
Hell of a pick.
It's a good
There
one.
it is.
I like there's zero bantering between any of our picks because we all have the same music taste. And like,
Have you guys seen the Britney Spears documentary yet?
no, I still haven't seen it.
Me either. I have to put it on, but
You know, this was a
Figured, like-
competitive, definitely a competitive draft. But just looking at the list here, I'm gonna give Doty a solid third. I think I'm a close behind. Kendra, I think you definitely won this in
Thank you so
terms
much.
of like the albums I
I
listened.
took this very seriously. I literally have
Wait,
no.
Daniel, I wouldn't say you're second. I would say I'm second.
Offspring, Doty.
Daniel,
Play it right now.
Why
Play
didn't we should have bantered more about that? That's I mean,
Offspring, Want You Bad. Play that song.
I don't want to play Offspring. I haven't thought of them probably since 2000. That
You'll
tells
want to
you-
listen to it like in the car or
hey,
like by yourself, but it's a banger.
Are you guys gonna play music with this podcast?
Eventually, yeah.
I think you should pick one of the songs from one of the albums to like do an outro or intro to this
Well,
podcast.
I don't think you
You
can,
wish, but-
right?
Oh,
You have to get-
licensing is gonna darn.
Yeah.
Well,
This is gonna blow up and get so popular that like
yeah, exactly.
we got to watch our backs.
Wait, can we get a recap of the albums, Daniel?
Okay, so Doty's picks.
No,
Offspring.
let's go number one. Snake it all the way down.
Well, it's kind of, I didn't quite write it like that, but okay, sure. So Kinder with Country Grammar. I went Outcast, Stankonia. Doty went with
You're actually saying that wrong.
off. How are you supposed to say it?
It's supposed to be called Stankonia.
Is it?
Stankonia. Yeah. I watched a YouTube on it when with T.I. was explaining it.
That's actually kind of sick.
It makes a lot of sense.
Okay, Offspring. Backstreet.
Wow,
John Mayer Clarity. Kanye College Dropout. God, that's a sneaky good second round pick right there.
That is. Yeah.
Viva La Vida, Future Sex Love Sound, and Britney with Oops, I Did It Again.
what a way to
That's
wrap
a solid one. I mean, I think we need to make a Spotify playlist for everyone to follow and listen to it if we need
It's
to.
not a bad idea.
That's actually a really good idea.
Also,
Kendra-
trivia. How do you spell Britney Spears? How does Britney spell her name?
I mean, I don't need to give an estimate here. It probably wouldn't be good for the interwebs.
I don't know. BRITC. Oh God.
Britney.
Yeah, there you go.
What is
Yeah.
it?
Britney.
Brittany. It'd only be better if she put Knee. That'd be better. Kendra, we're running out of time here. Thanks for being on the pod.
This
So
was
awesome.
Hey, I was very honored to be asked to come on this. 2 of my favorite people in the whole world. We gotta get back on the golf course ASAP.
We sure do.
We gotta make more memories, and I'm excited for you guys. I think the sky. I was telling you, I think the sky is the limit for this thing. Like I think you guys have an incredible chemistry, and just a lot of energy, a lot of passion, and I think people are going to want to listen to what you have to say and what your guests have to say. So I'm excited to be a listener moving forward, and yeah, let's do this again sometime soon.
Thanks,
think-
Kendra. Let's end that with a cheers.
Yep. Cheers, Kendra.
Cheers.
Appreciate you having on here.
Yep.
That's awesome.